I'm Fire Commissioner Lloyd Ayers with the Philadelphia Fire Department, and welcome to Freedom from Fire. Here at Freedom from Fire, we bring you very interesting people every week, people who are important in the community, doing different jobs, making sure that you're safe, working with the Philadelphia Fire Department, and also giving you the opportunity to be free from fire. Also, I like to say we have a very special guest that's a fire safety representative, and we'll talk about that just a little later. Well, it's still wintertime, and one of the things that we have to be careful of is the ups and downs in winter. We get temperate weather, and then all of a sudden it's diving down to freezing cold. And we know that sometimes we forget what to do. When we feel that little warm spell coming on, those that use portable heaters and use them properly, they put them away. Soon as it gets cold again, they pull them back out. Well, one of the things that we want to make sure that you do is, in this time where there's flex and ebb and everything else in the weather, just before we get to springtime, make sure that you remember to do all of the things that keep you safe in your home. When you use portable heaters, make sure that you use the same safety precautions, that you don't forget that bringing a portable heater out, setting it closer than 3 feet to combustible materials can be dangerous and can be deadly. Making sure that when you bring that electric heater back out, that you don't stick that plug into a long extension cord versus putting that directly into the wall so that you can stay safe. So whatever the manufacturer's instructions are, it means the whole season. And at the end of the season, be sure that you put those appliances away, store them away safely, and make sure that you do all of the things so that they can be serviceable for the next year. Also, we like to say that during this time, you have to continue to remember the seat of safety. My seat of safety says there are 4 major things that you have to do. That first leg of that safety seat is, of course, smoke alarms, 1 on every level, making sure that those smoke alarms are 10-year lithium-powered batteries smoke alarms. Also, you want to make sure that you have 1 on every level, that you test them, and that they are working. The second leg of that stool is, of course, the home escape plan. Without that home escape plan, setting down with your family, making sure that everyone knows 2 ways out of each and every room. Very important. And you should practice it at least twice a year so everyone is familiar. During that home escape plan, you want to make sure that you do the things that's necessary to make sure that the elderly are taken care of, to make sure that those who have physical challenges have the opportunity to get out as well. So if someone is assigned to a younger child, a toddler, make sure that they follow up on that assignment and do the things that they need to do to stay safe. That third leg of the stool is the thing that we talk about most often, and that is preventing the fire before it begins. And that is the home fire safety checklist. And our home fire safety checklist, you get 30 different individual items in 6 different categories that you can go down, and you can go down the checklist. It's yes or no. Either it's so or it's not so. So you go down and you check areas like what to do with cooking, how do you handle cooking, things that you need to do with your heating system, things that you should do as far as smoking, and as far as the Philadelphia Fire Department is concerned, take smoking outside. So you go down that list and you give yourself a good chance in your environment to prevent the fire from starting before someone can get into a really bad situation. So we want to make sure that you prevent it before it starts. And that final leg of the stool, we'll talk about that a little later too when we have our fire safety representative on. That is the fire safety pledge, where you pledge that you'll take the action to keep people safe in your environment and in their environment. So right now, I'd like to bring on a very special guest that I have, and that is none other than the Philadelphia Fire Department Aviations Operations Officer, and he is Deputy Chief Paul Flanagan. And he is stationed, should I say, out at the airport the International Airport, and he's going to talk with us today about something that many of our citizens don't know about, and very seldom do they ask about it, and that is the airport rescue firefighters. So welcome to Freedom from Fire,
Thank
Paul.
you, Commissioner. My pleasure to be here.
Well, it's good to have you here, Chief. First of all, let's tell our viewers a little bit about you, yourself, how long you've been with the fire department, and exactly what do you do?
Well, again, I'm the Aviation Operations Officer, and I'm stationed out of the International Airport. My job is to oversee both airports, actually, the Northeast Airport and the International Airport, from a fire department response perspective, and to ensure compliance with all the FAA regulations that are imposed upon the fire service, so that we can keep the aircraft flying with the safety measures in place that we bring. So.
Absolutely, and that's a pretty big task, because we have millions of folks from our citizens to citizens from other jurisdictions that come through the airport all of the time. Now, one of the things I like to ask is, has Philadelphia always had an airport fire team? That's what I get often. Well,
yes, there was at one time 2 stations at the airport. They since reorganized and relocated the firehouse so that it would be in a more optimum location, and they were able to sustain 1 firehouse. One of the requirements that the FAA imposes is a 3-minute response time to an aircraft that might be in trouble. So we have to get from our location to the midpoint of the furthest runway within a 3-minute response time. And that's how they plan where the stations are located at the airport.
Pretty much like we do in our neighborhoods, but a little bit different. Now, when you go to Engine 78, what's the difference between looking at that engine, at Engine 78, and the engines and ladders that run throughout the neighborhoods?
Well, that's a very good question, Commissioner. One of the major differences is that the company is known as Engine 78 is actually 7 different pieces of apparatus. The engine company that might be in your local district is just that engine company. And it would be staffed with an officer and 3 firefighters if it was an engine, or an officer and 4 firefighters if it was a ladder company. Engine 78 is staffed with a captain and a lieutenant, 11 firefighters. And again, we have our own dedicated training officer that ensures that we are in compliance with the FAA training. And we respond with several different pieces of apparatus. Our main objective, obviously, is for aircraft safety, but we do respond to other incidents on the airfield as well. So you can see that there's a difference in that in a big way.
Well, I will tell you, I have noticed the size of the eyes on the little students that come in and look at those trucks at the airport and look at the trucks in the field. We see the big red truck, and then we see the huge yellow truck, and they are a sight to see. Now, as related to rules, regulations, training, what different training and rules and regulations would one of your airport firefighters have to know versus one of the firefighters who are in the regular fire safety and education districts in the community?
Well, that's another heavy loaded question, Commissioner. The firefighter that is assigned to an aircraft rescue firefighting unit has to have training in 12 different topics or 12 different areas to ensure their understanding of the airfield, how to navigate within the airfield, when they have to ask for clearance or permission to cross a street. One of the other differences is if you hear a siren coming down the street, you're going to pull over and stop for that fire engine.
Right.
Airplanes don't do that. We have to stop for airplanes. So it's important that we know the rules of that are operating out on the airfield when we're out there. At nighttime, it's an entirely different world. It's very difficult to see a corner because there are no corners. It's a very flat area. You don't get to the intersection of and see a building. It's just lines in the street. So even the signage is different where you're located, if it's a taxiway or you're getting near a runway. And there's different lights that would tell you what those areas are. So all of that stuff is in addition to what the rules and regulations of the fire department request us to operate under. So that's another issue as well, Commissioner.
Well, I will tell you, going to the airport at night and seeing some of the lights, if you will, and just watching how not only our firefighters have the opportunity and the know-how to navigate those runways and taxiways is always amazing. And there's always a radio protocol that goes along with that, where there's a constant communication module, questions, answers, permissions, things like that. So it's really an amazing thing to see. Now, do the firefighters respond to just fires or just airport incidents? Or, I mean, what is the bulk of the work there?
Well, again, because we have several pieces of apparatus, 4 of them are dedicated just for an aircraft incident. We have 2 vehicles that are dedicated to any structural concerns, whether it's an alarm system, a trash fire, an automobile accident, a fuel spill. So we'll respond to all of those different incidents. We also have a dedicated medic unit that's at the station with 2 paramedics to serve the traveling public. Their primary response is just the airport. They don't go out anywhere else. They don't respond out on the roadways unless it's a roadway associated with the airport, whether it's arrivals or departures road. But mainly they're there for the traveling public and the employees of the airport.
Well, I would guess, and our viewing audience as well, that the firefighters must have some special training in order to come into that unit. So you want to explain that?
Well, Commissioner, you know, in the level of fire service, we're striving for Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2 certification so that everybody's qualified and has the best training possible to respond to any emergency. The airport takes that a step further, that once you're a Firefighter 2, then you move into what is known as an Aircraft Rescue Firefighter certification. And that requires certain evolutions as well as knowledge of aircraft incidents and what you might need to do to assist in an investigation. So there's these 12 components that they are tested on, from communication issues to evidence preservation to life safety. Wow. And there's a variety of different things that are aircraft specific. Where you might have a car fire, you unplug the battery to shut down that electronics. There's not too many cars that have their own extinguishing systems on board. That the batteries are located in a different location on almost every aircraft. So they really have to have a working knowledge of the variety of different aircraft that come and go in the Philadelphia airport as well. So all those things are tested on, and we have a dedicated training officer that trains on a daily basis. I don't think there's another engine company out in the city that has a dedicated training officer for that purpose. We have our own training facility, which is a $10 million facility. It's a 125-foot diameter propane-driven fire simulator that we can light various different fires and have members operate in an extinguishing capability, and what are the best strategy and tactics to address an aircraft fire. So we have a lot of things in place to assist and to educate and make sure that we're really ready for response. Well,
with all of that training, I know there must be special drills that have to happen at the airport.
Well, that's true, Commissioner. Every 3 years, the FAA requires that we have a live EPEX drill, emergency exercise plan review, that we get area hospitals involved. We have our requirement, because of the index of our airport, there's A, B, C, D, and E indexes based on the amount of travel that comes and goes out of your airport. An E index is the highest index, requiring the most fire suppression equipment and the most strictest regulations, I guess you could say. And one of those regulations is that you need 100 victims that you have to treat and transport as a result of a potential incident with an aircraft.
During that operation, right?
During that operation. So we get area hospitals involved. They also plan and have their emergency drills at those times. We get regional EMS involved, and regional EMS coordinates with ambulances throughout all different communities.
And our firefighters as well in the region.
Our firefighters as well. We are bordering in Tinicum Township, so the Delaware County Fire Department gets involved with that. We test the communications capabilities of all these different organizations and districts that would be responding in. So it's a very big event, and it's time consuming.
Well, I will tell you, the EPEX drills that I've had an opportunity to observe, come in, play an observer part, and just take a look at how it comes together. The planning takes such a long time, and then the actual implementation of the drill is a beautiful thing. And just seeing the different counties come together, seeing the firefighters come together, the paramedics and the emergency medical technicians, and the command staff, just watching how you just make it flow, and it's a good thing. One of the other things is the future of the Philadelphia Fire Department training facility, the airport. How does that look? And just give me a little short
Well,
answer.
there's a couple of things, Commissioner. The training center is dedicated as a regional training center. So there's fire departments that are outside the city of Philadelphia that come here for training, and we have earned the right through the State Fire Academy to certify in aircraft rescue firefighting, and we have courses that we offer for that as well. But they come and they do their 139 requirement as is mandated by the FAA. The other thing is that the airport is always expanding, and in its growth, they're looking at reconfiguring how many fire stations are at the airport, how many different apparatus are at the airport. There may mean some additional trucks and some additional members, so that's something to look forward to in the future.
Well, Chief Flanagan, it's been a pleasure to work with you, and even more pleasure to have you here explaining to our viewers exactly what it's about with the Philadelphia International Airport. Chief Paul Flanagan, and don't you touch that dial. We're going to be right back. We have a fire safety representative, and you can find out exactly what they do in their community to keep their area safe. So stay tuned. Fire Commissioner Lloyd Ayers with the Philadelphia Fire Department, and I'm joined by Mr. Cal Rudman, philanthropist and president of the Cal and Lucille Rudman Foundation, also honorary Fire Commissioner of the Philadelphia Fire Department. Together with Drexel University's Antoinette Westphal College of Media Arts and Design, we are able to present to you the Philadelphia Fire Safety App. This app can be accessed through your desktop or laptop computer, but what's really convenient is you can get it on your smartphone. This app is loaded with useful information covering a vast array of subjects relevant to you and anyone who has ever had a question about the Philadelphia Fire Department or emergency services they can provide. Let me tell you about some of the features on the app. There's a fire safety checklist, a list of over 25 questions that help you check to see if your home or apartment is safe. There's an emergency preparedness section dealing with tornadoes, hurricanes, terrorism, and even earthquakes. There's a dorm safety section. This gives you general information about safe dorm living and what you should be thinking about should the fire alarm sound in your building. There's a section about the emergency services that the fire department provides, along with EMS and CPR tips, and a very handy hospital locator. The Red Cross entry can give you immediate, on-the-spot, step-by-step treatments for common first aid emergencies. And don't think our information app doesn't consider every member of the family. There's even an entry for and about your pets. Today, I'm just giving you a snippet of what you will find with our new fire safety app. What I really enjoy telling you is it's all free. Cal, you've been pretty patient. What would you like to tell our friends?
Hey, fire safety app, stay alive with that.
That's right, Cal. To get the new fire safety app, go to freedomfromfire.com/FSapp. Again, that's freedomfromfire.com/FSapp. And oh yeah, did I tell you it's free?
Well, I heard that.
like to say welcome back to Freedom from Fire. With me today, I have a very important person, one of our fire safety representatives, one of those persons who selflessly goes out into the community and helps to keep them safe from fire. And they connect with us, the Philadelphia Fire Department, and make sure that folks are safe within their block, within their community. And I have a high respect for our fire safety representatives. Today, I have with me Mr. Marcus Heppinstal. He's a resident of Germantown for 50 years, owner of the Heppinstal Hair Studio for 30 years. He's a board member of the Germantown Life Enrichment Center, committee member for the newly formed Germantown Special Services District through Councilwoman Cindy Bass, and also he's a behavioral health specialist and a block captain. Yep. Welcome to Freedom from Fire.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
Well, what are your challenges as a fire safety representative?
Well, for me, there was no challenge whatsoever. It was one of the easiest procedures, and it was one of the most pleasurable situations that I was able to present to my block, for one. So it was pretty good. Well,
that's great. Now, how long have you been with the fire department as a fire safety representative?
I'm going on my second year.
Oh, excellent. Mm-hmm. But you've been a block captain for some time.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we find throughout the city many times that the block captains actually take on the fire safety representative responsibility. One of the things that we ask the block captains to do is try to find someone to come in and help out, but a lot of the times the block captains, they carry that load. So my hat's off to you, and I want to say thank you.
Yep.
Now, what made you step up? What made you volunteer?
Well, for my situation, I saw a need. We are a small little cul-de-sac block, and I think that having everybody on the same page, especially when it comes to fire safety, being able to grab the smoke detectors. We were having the fire department come out and one day do the entire block, which was one of the key things that made me feel safer for the older people on the block and the kids that we have, along with pets and families. You know, so it was a good thing to do, and it was very easy to do. That's
very important. Now, with the smoke alarms. How have the residents been responding to the new 10-year lithium battery-powered smoke alarms?
It's an amazing thing. You don't have to touch it. You don't have to mess with it. For 10 years, it'll make sure that your house is safe. And one of the things about the fire department is that you call them up. They will come out and they will install them in your house for free, no charge, at your convenience. So, I mean, that was one of the things that really got me excited about it, because we were able to do the entire block in one day.
That's fantastic. So the elderly, how do they respond? And one of the things, maybe I should ask you, with the elderly protected like that, how much does that ease the burden on your mind as far as the folks that are a little older in the community?
Well, you know, my calling is to think outside yourself. You have to believe that there is somebody outside yourself, and my mother lives next door to me, so that was another key reason for me to go ahead and do it. But to be able to cover everybody on the block was it was just a fulfilling, it was a satisfying thing for me, knowing that everybody on the block has the same opportunity of being safe, and also there was a few other things that we did to try to make sure that there's people safe, such as making sure we know how many kids are in your house. Everybody's got phone numbers on one sheet of paper. Everybody has access to everybody's phone number. So if you do have problems, you have access to somebody else on the block. So, I mean, there's a million little things that you could do to make sure that your block is safe. It doesn't cost you a dime.
Well, Marcus, let me tell you something. That's a shining example of what it's all about, to be neighborly and to live in the community. When you do those types of things, you build it out a little bit at a time,
exactly,
block by
exactly.
block.
And that's what I was trying to do, too, is one block at a time. And we have another 200 blocks, so we're trying to incorporate that, because it's free. It's just about being safe.
Now, quickly, let's tell the viewers the area that you serve again.
Germantown.
Okay.
Not west, not north, not east, not south. Germantown.
And you feel that pride, too.
Yep.
And that's a great thing.
Yep.
So I'd like to say to you, thank you for the work that you do. We really appreciate it. One of the things that we found is that the fire safety representatives, through that link to the fire department, they get that information out seasonally. They just do a great job.
Yep.
and we really appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciate the fire company too. I really appreciate everything that they've done, you know, and I really think that this eases a little bit of the pain that you have to go through of a fire. So if you can get a smoke detector, get it. You know, it keeps you guys safe, keeps us safe.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And if you can't afford it, dial 311 and
Yep.
we'll take care of it.
Yep, for free.
Now, Marcus, I'd like you to help me give our viewers the Fire Safety Pledge,
No
the
problem.
Home Fire Safety Pledge. So if you would, raise your hand with me, and we're going to take the Fire Safety Pledge. I love my family, and I am responsible for their safety. Therefore, I pledge the following. I pledge to have at least one working smoke alarm on each level of my home. I pledge to test my alarms as recommended and replace my alarms with new lithium battery-powered smoke alarms when they're needed. I pledge that every family member will sleep with their bedroom door closed. I pledge to develop and practice a home escape plan. I pledge that if I cannot afford smoke alarms, I will call the non-emergency number 311 or visit www.phila.gov/311 on the World Wide Web. All this I do solemnly pledge. Well, we got it out.
That's right.
And, thank you so much.
It is a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure's
It's a pleasure
mine.
to be with you.
And
Yep.
Fire Commissioner Ayers saying, come back to Freedom from Fire, and thank you for joining us.